than what it would be otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. And with 7 kids, do all of them react differently to what you're doing? Do any of them have some fears? Like, how do you, I don't know how old your kids are, but like, how do you meet them where they are in their brains and their mentality? Plus, you're their mom. Like, how do you, yeah, how does that work? What does that look like?
Yeah. So when I went to go do Everest, it was going to be the longest time I'd ever been away from home. So I was worried about him. I went to the school and I talked to the school and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be gone. Here's what I'm doing. Can you just offer a little bit more grace to my kids during this time frame?" And the school came up with an amazing idea. They said, "Listen, let's do an Everest campaign. Let's have all the kids write what their goal is on a hiker in the hallway. We'll track you while you're climbing Everest and we'll just make this a whole big event." And so then when I was gone, kids would say, "Hey, your mom made it to camp too," or "Here's what your mom's doing." Or it was this huge community following what my pursuit was. So my kids felt so loved and thought it was so cool that their mom was going to be the mom that was on top of Everest. And when I got back, some of the kids would come over after school and ask all about the trip and they wanted to climb Everest someday. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm here for all of it. So let me know when that happens." Um, so I feel really blessed.
Yeah. And what have they learned? Like, have you noticed their growth through your pursuit? Like, I can't, like, I'm sure they're just like, like my mom, did all that. I'm sure there's some pride. Yeah. Like, what does a young mind gain from seeing you summit?
Yeah, well, it's funny. So one of my kids was complaining about something and how it was hard and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, "We're not allowed to complain. Our mom climbed Everest, which means we can climb it too. So we just have to push through." So, right? Like, and I think your kids see you doing life and they realize, guess what? I don't necessarily want to train today, or I don't want to eat healthy today, or I want to do some of these things that are hard towards my pursuit, but the pursuit is worth it. So sometimes I have to sacrifice these short-term happiness for my long-term happiness. And they see it. They see it in me. So we're living life in parallel. And that I think helps both of us. When I want to quit, I'm like, I can't quit. My kids are watching. I need to demonstrate how we push through when things get hard.
I love that. And being the example instead of saying, like, you do this or take care of this or you should be this, you're actually embodying that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so wonderful. How old are your kids? Like, what's the age range? Just
Yeah. So
curious.
my oldest is 16 and my youngest are 10. So I have 5 boys and then a set of twins at the bottom. And I should say, like, there was a point where one of my twin daughters was nervous about what was going on. So then I ended up taking her and a couple of the other kids climbing and did the activity that I do on the mountains just at a bigger scale so that they could feel it. I said, "See, even when I'm scared, I'm on the mountain, I'm still on a rope. I'm still tied in. I still have different like safety devices to make sure I'm safe." And so then that took that concern out of her brain because she got to feel it and see it and actually do it, not just conceptually understand it. And I mean, that's our job as parents, is to listen and then to help them connect the dots so they feel strong and encouraged.
Yeah, like I hear you. That fear is valid, or the
Yep.
feelings she might be feeling are valid. Let me show you where I'm at so you can be there and touch and feel and experience with your senses. So then when she's imagining, hey, where's mom at the moment? She at least has some experience to pull from and be like, okay, yeah, I did that. I can imagine that. I feel like that would be really yeah, like a good safe feeling for a kid to
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Um, what does your training look like? What does your nutrition look like? I know that you mentioned, what'd you say? I'm not growing pumpkins and stuffing hot dogs or something like that. I remember talking with Dean Carnesis one time, which is this guy who runs like these ultra marathons all over, and he would have like a pizza delivered to him and like scarf it and then keep running, 25 miles. I know that what you're doing is not a, easy feat. So what did your training look like? Your nutrition, and how important was that to your success?
Yes. So my training, because I'm a mom and work and do this training, looks different than everybody else's. And it's not ideal, but it's what works. So I will get up early, sometimes do a training session, get the kids to school. Then I'll maybe train a little bit while they're at school. I'll do other activities. If it's a busy day and someone has a soccer game, I'm the mom that's on the sideline of the soccer game watching the game, but maybe have a 12-inch step that I'm doing step ups on with a weighted backpack on. So at least I'm getting the training in while watching them playing soccer instead of sitting on the sideline watching them play soccer. So I've always had to like look at my week, really shift training around so that it fit into everybody else's schedule and then accommodate. My kids sometimes will be like, Mom, do you have to bring your step this time? I'm like, listen, I do have to bring my step this time. I'm sorry, but I am doing big things and big things require training and dedication and all the different pieces. Nutrition wise, it I'm making sure that I'm eating healthy because when you do heavy training loads, that's inflammation in your body. My body doesn't need additional inflammation from the things that I eat. So I'm trying to be conscientious of that. On my last expedition when I went to Mount Logan, there's actually an amazing nutritionist who built custom meals for me. So they were all dehydrated and all I had to do was add water, and I had spinach and green beans and like healthy things that you never get on the mountains, and it was the best I'd ever felt.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that inflammation is real, and paying attention to the foods that we eat. It's not just calories, I'm sure for you, where you're just like, go, go, go. It's being mindful of those calories. When you say training, like what specifically are you doing? I have this wonderful visual of you on the sidelines at the soccer game with the backpack. My niece is 5 and she was playing soccer this season. So I just have this visual of a soccer game and you stepping up. Is it weights? Is it Pilates? Is it stretching? Is it yoga? Is it everything? Like what? And yeah, what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything, to be honest with you, because my brain needs variety to stay entertained.
Same.
Yes. But as much of hiking vertical that I can do, the better off I am because that's actually how I'm going to actually operate in the mountains. So I try to have my training mimic what my actual experience will be as much as possible. But when it comes to recovery or cross training, I'll do weights, I'll do Pilates, I'll do yoga, I'll do stretching sessions. And all of it. I'll do breath work. I think breath work is big on it.
Same. I love breath work.
Yes.
What does your breath work practice look like? Is it daily? Is it, multiple times a day? What specific breath work techniques do you? I'm just curious because I love it so much.
Yeah. No. So I do like some Zoom online ones actually because I just like the energy of the group and the accountability. And then I'll do, for me, every time I hit a red light, I'll make sure that I try to do as slow a breathing as possible at the red lights, just to help calm my
Mm.
nervous system down. And that's a trigger to remind me or to check in with my breath. Am I breathing short? Am I giving all that anxiety up, or can I calm my system down a little bit more than what I'm doing? So I use the trigger meditation of a red light to start breathing slower. But otherwise, I'll probably do breath work once or twice a day because it just grounds me so much.
Yeah, it's grounding. It probably helps with your lung capacity and things
Mhm.
like that. I like that, the red light, to have that be a trigger to remind you to breathe slower.